Do you expect Bangladesh to come up in the bilateral meeting with Bangladesh? With Biden. Saurabh, just a question. Do you expect that to feature?
100%.
Yeah, footnote, as Alok ji was also saying, I would agree that today, India, Prime Minister Modi is looking at a bigger picture. Bangladesh is an important neighbor, but let me tell you, Naranjan, in the larger scheme of things, India is now not only a leader of the global south, it is a preeminent global power. And as global power, you look at really the big picture. And the big picture today is that Prime Minister Modi is being seen as a peacemaker. I've been speaking to a lot of diplomats here in the US, US diplomats, some of them who were cynical on India's role in the global arena. But now they say that he's the only leader who had a meeting with Putin and Zelensky, one of the only global leaders who has done it of this stature. That puts us on a very high pedestal. So our goal of our foreign policy is very different. Our foreign policy is how we can make sure that we can create a better and a safer world and also elevate India's global power status. And that's the reason why sometimes you have to make sure that some of these ticklish issues are not discussed at length at these meetings, because these meetings are about re-ensuring that India plays an important role. I can tell you, behind the scenes, there have been more requests for bilateral with Prime Minister Modi that the Indian side can accommodate. They had to say no to a lot of things, a lot of people, because as I mentioned, it's a visit not that long. He's not spending 5-6 days here. He's spending a shorter time because of domestic commitments. So there is the focus will be on India playing the role of a peacemaker, India's leading the way today on the international global discourse, and also making sure that as a democracy representing more than 1.4 billion people, we show the way, whether it's AI, whether it's green technology, whether it's making sure it's a stable and secure Indo-Pacific, or finding a way to end these wars, whether in Ukraine or in Gaza. That will be the message that the Prime Minister will also be delivering in his UN speech. And that is the message that India wants to deliver, that it's a champion for the global south, but is also a close ally of the West in settling these problems, because India realizes that it needs to engage with them for a meaningful solution to these global challenges. That's a big message, Narendra, if you ask me, from the Prime Minister's visit to the US is going to be.
Yeah. Abhishek, we had those pictures. Okay, these are more pictures coming in. Live from Philadelphia, where the Prime Minister is. It's a pit stop. The Prime Minister will, from here, move to Joe Biden's hometown of Wilmington, where the Quad is expected to roll out a series of new initiatives to boost cooperation in the Indo-Pacific, and also perhaps explore ways to find peaceful solutions to the conflicts in Ukraine and Gaza, as our experts also have been discussing. Abhishek, if you want to speak over these pictures. Shortest visit to the US. I mean, you've been on one of his visits to the US. I have covered the Howdy Modi visit. This one, comparatively very short. Is there lesser excitement you sense, Abhishek, or is that the same? Or is the Josh the same?
Just because you asked this question, Niranjan, I need to give this a bit of information that the capacity of the stadium in Long Island, where Prime Minister is going to address the diaspora event tomorrow, is 16,000. And already about 30,000 tickets had been sold, and which means that half of those people would actually be sitting outside the stadium watching from this on a screen and not be able to go inside. And that really gives you an idea of the kind of excitement that's there on the side of the people, right? Also, the fact that while in New York, and Saurabh Shukla knows about it, Prime Minister would be meeting about 20 or possibly more of these top business CEOs, honchos, essentially focusing on artificial intelligence, quantum computing, the cutting edge of future technology. And that also gives you an idea of the kind of excitement that's there about meeting the Prime Minister, about his presence in New York for the short trip that he's there. And also remember, Niranjan, that the UN summit that's taking place, apart from the Quad being a farewell summit of President Biden, the UN Future Summit that's happening Monday is also a farewell summit for Antonio Guterres. And he's someone who's very he's himself has a very nice chemistry with Prime Minister Modi. He has traveled to Gujarat and seen the stuff that has happened on climate change. He politely refused the Pakistanis when they offered him to take to Pak-occupied Jammu and Kashmir territory when he was visiting Islamabad a couple of years back. So even in Prime Minister's participation in the future summit is also important, because the reason why this, apart from the UNGA that happens, the Jamboree that happens every year, the reason why Antonio Guterres has organized this future summit is because great many countries around the world are not matching the steps in terms of the UN 2030 SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. And everyone would be watching and listening to Prime Minister Modi, because on most counts, India is ahead of its targets in meeting the targets of the SDGs. By 2030, we would be doing it ahead of time. So I think in the future summit, Prime Minister would effectively be a star campaigner for Antonio Guterres. And so I don't think there is less excitement. There is more. And the fact that it's all that is getting packed in just about 90 odd hours that the Prime Minister is going to spend in the United States, that lent.
विश्व में धर्म का प्रतिनिधित्व करते हुए आज मोदी जी का हार्दिक स्वागत करने के लिए यहाँ पे पूरी टीम के साथ में पधारे हैं। हमारी पूरी टीम विश्व धाम जो पूरे विश्व में फैला हुआ है और पूरे वर्ल्ड की पाटीदार की ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, जिसका प्रतिनिधित्व करते हुए हम पूरी टीम के साथ में मोदी का हार्दिक स्वागत करने के लिए यहाँ पे उपस्थित रहे हैं। और मोदी जी ने सबको बहुत ही रिस्पेक्टफुली हाथ मिला के बहुत ही अभिवादन दिया, उसके लिए हम उनके धन्यवाद प्राप्त करते हैं। थैंक यू सो मच।
लव इंडिया, लव मोदी।